What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nashville Unsigned podcast. We are back covering all things digital and music news and resources for the independent community. I am chilling like true villains with my favorite team on the planet.
Yeah.
What's up?
This is Nick Brown.
Good to see you. The website administrator, Nashville Unsigned, coming in with some hot digital marketing facts here.
There we
on
go.
the side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Digital marketing love.
Yeah, I'm Amber Stoneman, networking, social media guru.
And I am Jared, editor-in-chief of the magazine and SEO dude.
And I am Patrick Larney, and if Nashville Unsigned wore clothes, I'd be a fashion designer.
So, Nashville Unsigned is your go-to. You guys know this already for all things independent. But get on over there. We're your one-stop shop for digital magazine in the independent community, label services, live events, and home of the largest independent community in the city.
Yeah, it's
no
one big party.
deal.
It's a magical place. I love hopping on there and just seeing what people upload.
It's your new.
I love seeing
It's
it.
your new social platform without all the BS.
True.
You know, get on over to YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and search the Nashville Unsigned podcast in Apple Podcast to download this episode. And then we've got like a cool radio thing going on too. Like, where's that at? Spotify? Yeah. So we have
yeah.
a sick
Right,
Spotify playlist right now.
It's true. It's very fresh. We update it so frequently. It's basically all I listen to. So, check it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what are we talking about today? I know we've covered so many things lately, and we're just trying to equip you guys with as much stuff as you possibly can house to be able to
In your brains.
remain independent and do everything on your own. So what are we talking about?
We're talking about EPKs today, I think.
What?
Yep.
The
EPK
is an EPK. What is an EPK?
Yeah.
It's our title. WTF
Is it some sort
an
of
EPK?
electronic personal
yeah.
keeper? Is it
Yeah, it's
a
electronic personal keeper. No.
So we'll talk about what it means first, which is it's electronics press kit, and you got to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. You've had some experience with this, Patrick.
Yeah,
A few times.
an electronic press kit is basically how you sell your band to interested parties. It's also when you think of all the things that would be on your website. Back in the day, everything wasn't on your website. So, like Sonic Bids, I think was one of the first people that.
before the internet, Patrick?
Yeah.
What do you speak of?
When were those times?
Nonsense.
But basically, it's filtering down your story. So that it's your elevator pitch, if you will, for your band. So, on your website, you might have, you're posting to socials every single day, and you've got a lot of text on there and whatever. But an EPK is like an interested party that wants to, let's say, book you or had a B2B sponsorship or anything like that. This is a way to get them all the information as quick as possible because they may be going through multiple submissions.
So it's a quick rundown.
Yeah, and electronic just meaning that it's online.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had a manila envelope and you put
Yeah.
an 8 by
Right.
10 in there and a CD in there
Yeah.
and whatever, and then
And you
send it to
generally
them.
have like your headshots, your sampled music,
Sure.
a bio.
In
super
today's if you really go back to old EPKs and today's EPKs is like class 8's Adara's Dropbox. Like that's an EPK. Like
Yeah.
she's got everything, folders organized by photos and videos and audio and bio. I mean, she's got all of it so well put together.
Yeah.
And she's an EDM pop artist out of class 8 who Adara,
Yeah.
mad
Yeah.
props on
Yeah.
what is today's new EPK. It doesn't mean it just has to be a video with like some blurbs about magazines, but nowadays too, you're also going to have your social numbers. It's going to be a marriage of your Dropbox, your website, and your media kit from your website, from your social media outlets. So it's kind of a collection of different documents.
And I think Adar is a really good example of the branding that you present with an EPK. We all know her as like the space queen around here because she's like probably the only one I can even think of that actually does that vibe. And I'm sure other
It's her
people do,
jam.
but she
Yeah.
just kills it.
Yeah,
and
it's cool
that
vibe.
visual presence. I think it's a big part of the EPK. It's a part of your branding. It's how you're kind of selling yourself.
I mean, I think you have to think about where an EPK is supposed to land.
Yes,
right?
I think that's really important.
And if you really think about it, it's probably that you're submitting along with a lot of other people. So, you know, if you think about that, what is the hang time of somebody who's searching through multiple EPKs, and can you affect them in that time? That's why I used elevator pitch. But something like Adara's website, I mean her EPK, when you land in that, there's a total brand about the whole thing, and you know I want to spend a little bit more time on this. Now that being said, EPKs in the past, you know, they used to be something called a one sheet, and there's a lot of places that still want one sheets, and that's basically like a PDF on one page where you can list all your accomplishments, your social numbers, like you said, social links, things like that. But now media has kind of blown that up just a little bit more, right? They want to see video. One of the things that I think is really important to include in an EPK is a music video to show that you're serious. But also, you want to have two other videos, I think. One being your story. And, you know, where you can cut corners on this, a lot
That's
people
interesting.
put out a Kickstarter video or a Patreon video where they tell their story of who they are and where
you
they
gotta
came
have an
from.
introduction.
It's a better bio.
A video introduction.
But I would have to. I'm gonna have to disagree, and this is why. Because I know, surprise, surprise. So as a media outlet, we get thousands of submissions. We see thousands of EPKs, and if I have a lot of things that I need to sift through, I'm kind of a little turned off. So there is a balance. I think there's a healthy balance there. I think that it has to be short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
Everything has to be clickable. Like booking agents want to see your numbers. Sponsors want to see your numbers. Pretty much everybody, whoever you're going to pitch that kit to, wants to see numbers. Venues want to see numbers.
I feel like both, like the visual element and a written element are probably very important.
I think one video though, and I think the one should be a live video.
Yeah.
Because
and that was the third one that I was
booking
going to say
agent.
is a live video, because people want to know that you can actually perform
Exactly.
live.
Yeah.
So if you label them, that's kind of the way that I set up PPKs. I put 3 videos in big text, very easy to see, like our story, you know, official music video, and us live or whatever.
I feel like that's the biggest one, because that's really the biggest indicator to what, you know, they're kind of getting in a sense.
But is the booking agent or is the media outlet, do they really care about the story? I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't watch it first. If I've got 30 seconds to spend on you, I'm looking at a quick snapshot, an infographic. That's what it's called. If you can get an infographic, clickable infographic with maybe a video at the top, I think the video is important. The live video is important. Especially like going through to see if we want to put you on a bill. Well, if we're going through to book, I don't want to like sift through a bunch of stuff just to get to a video.
Yeah, I imagine that's a lot with like festival season too. Like that's a really big, important element when you're like trying to get into a festival. So a live video of you is probably imperative there.
Also, you made a cool analogy about running up the stairs, the fire escape. So remember, I don't know, it's about artists that
I live in analogy land.
No. So all these artists are running down the fire escape, and they're all going. It's packed. It's backed up, and you can't break through. It's hard to break through. So then you choose to get creative with an alternative route,
right?
And so that, I think, is really important with an EPK. And I'll let you go now.
Yeah.
But
as far as like scrolling through, I think you're right. As far as like, how can I see what I need to see as quickly as possible? Because I have a lot of people to scroll through.
Yep.
So you have to find a balance between does mine stick out and is it too much?
Yeah, like, I think one of the things that I just realized that we kind of left out is that where does an EPK live? Usually it's online.
You gotta go ahead and take yourself to GoDaddy.com or wherever you want to be registering your domains at, and go ahead and get your band name.
Yeah,
that is pretty
That's
crucial.
probably a very important one.
Yeah.
So website obviously is
Step
very
1.
important. Usually, what this is not a forward-facing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a link that's probably a hidden link. Sometimes it's your band /EPK, but it's not necessarily a link on your home site or homepage. one of the things that I think is really important, and this is to make things easier for you, I'm telling you, you're going to save yourself a lot of time if you do this, is that in an EPK, you want to hit them with the information of who I am and what I am first. At the very bottom, put links in there that have downloadable files. Download photos. Download my logo. Download whatever. Because what ends up happening is you use that EPK to pitch to a festival or to a venue or whatever. The next thing they're going to do is ask you, can you send me your press photos? Can you send me this? Can you send... No. There's buttons right there to download them, and they're linked to a file. And that has saved me a ton of time with some of the bands.
That's what like Adara's. Back to Adara's. Like it's not on our site, but it is in Dropbox, and it's just well organized, and it's practically everything that you would need as if you wanted to write up on her. You can find all that information practically in that link. And it made it so easy to maneuver through. You know,
right? And then then the communication you have is, here's a link, and then everything you're going to need is in there.
Everything's done. Yeah.
And I think that like we said, one of the things that I think is really important is a page break. This is that old thing that's been from back in the beginning of the internet, and it's stuck around forever. And all a page break is just like a little line, that separates and compartmazes and silos.
Horizontal rule.
Give us the code for it. What is it? Carrot?
It's HR. Yeah.
Okay.
Horizontal rule.
There you go. Yeah. But
Geek
anyway, to do that, you have hit them with everything up front, and then put one of those carrot HR carrots, and then underneath that, maybe that's where you're download these files if you're interested.
Definitely, yeah.
But organizing it and siloing it, I think, is important so that the person can look at what's important for them.
I agree.
And I think it's like you said earlier, it's knowing where that's going to land. So if it lands in a digital magazine's hand, you're going after something different. If it lands in a booking agent's hand, you're going after something different. And if it lands, so you do need to have kind of, you need to know who you're pitching to, because, for instance, again, seeing a bunch of EPKs all the time, I'm looking for links. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
So if we were to do like a rundown, really, on what you needed for a press kit in order of importance, what would it be?
Like a step-by-step guide.
We know that we need the resources on there at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a dynamite idea. I'd love that. Because, I mean, it really...
I switched that. I think it should go to the top.
So what, including all your resources is the number one priority?
Just anything clickable. Like, just your links to socials, or if it's numbers.
Yeah.
Because, again, it depends on who... If we're like, hey, here's how you build it, but we also need to, we're coming from an angle of like, these are the people that are looking at it and what they're looking for. So that's kind of like with the digital magazine side of what Nashville Unsigned does. We are looking to see like what you look like live.
Yeah.
We're looking to see, we don't base everything on social numbers, but a lot of people do. So that one is definitely something.
Okay, so we want to include our resources. We want to include a live performance.
Yeah.
We want to include
social numbers,
the social numbers, all the statistics, all the important
website numbers.
And so here's a nice little
all
layout.
that stuff should be, and I'm going to give that, I'm going to hand it to you right away.
Good.
I think just another thing not to forget is don't put this on like a white page or some boring shit. Like your brand has to be encapsulating all of this stuff.
You got to go back to the networking episode, Nashville Unsigned Live Networking. Go ahead and find yourself a buddy that does a web design, because you're going to need it, and that kind of goes back to registering that domain.
It's worth your money.
Professionalism it counts for a lot. And I was going to go into some web design for like self web design, like a decent layout. Have some like big photos of you, images of you, and on this other side you could do like a top like video live performance, so where they can go full screen and see your whole jam go on there. Underneath there, have like your infographic of like top numbers.
Yeah,
and then I would have the other assets really easily. Well, Amber says up top, so I'm down with that. Up top,
I just think
buttons
that
up here, or down, but
from
have quick access to the most important stuff, and then try not to overcomplicate it.
Yeah,
I think is
keep it simple.
A cool way of doing it almost is if you are a member of NashvilleUnsigned.com, basically how you would build your microsite on there is how. Is essentially the resources that you would put within your EPK.
Yeah,
honestly,
that makes it easy.
Yeah, so if you go in there, kind of fill out your profile. I mean, that really honestly gives you a good idea of the things that you will need to build your.
It could at least be a pre-EPK.
Basically, yeah.
And I think go ahead. Quotes I think too, from of course keeping it simple, focus on keeping it simple, but there is credibility in quotes from publications or credible people in the music industry, or investors or mentors or whatever. So you wouldn't even believe how expensive quotes are in the startup world. It's true. You can gain so much investment by having credible quotes. So use that in, again, you're pitching yourself to someone. So use those quotes as something credible for your brand. I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important ways to wrap everything up at the bottom is make sure you have your contact in there.
And make sure it's like a legit
Yeah,
contact.
Yeah, make sure it's
a
a
good
legit
idea.
contact.
Email, phone number. It works.
As
Yeah,
far
go
as
ahead and set up the email account for that domain you got for your band name.
Uh-oh.
So
Yeah.
that's some credibility right there.
So I think those are all the pieces to put it together. I think you get on to something like, whatever your website is,
You could do a Squarespace if you need to.
Yeah,
Just,
whatever it is. But make sure that when you're putting the
There's all
things
sorts
in,
of-
instead of click here to go to my YouTube to watch videos, no, embed it like all in one place so that everything is kind of, they don't have to leave that page. Obviously, if they want to, you've got your socials and things like that. They want to click around if they want to go further, but you want to hit them with as much information. And the other thing that I have had as like a best practice is if they're scrolling more than 3 times to get to the bottom, your EPK is too long.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah,
a
short
good point,
and
yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
If it can, I like the one page thing. I think having you do the video of where it's a bunch of different live performances spliced in,
It comes down to the vibe, though. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's all within the context of the brand and the vibe, though,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be hating on it if it was, a full document that is well branded. I mean, if it were, a long document that is very poorly
Sure,
laid out-
but truncate it.
Yeah,
I think
if
is the
you're-
thing, because it's like, a read more button is great because otherwise you're getting hit with so much information.
Yeah.
Remember,
Mhm.
they're
and
this
the
is like-
curator is like 30
Yeah.
seconds.
You don't
Like,
know
And
if they're
listen,
on
you
a
people are
desktop or
doing
a
this
cell phone.
already on like all the dating apps, right? You
I know, right?
You know they look at you for 1 second and then they swipe
Dude,
left. Like, how do you
it's-
get their attention?
Yeah.
It's happening just like that.
You know?
You know what I think is a really cool idea too? Utilizing social platforms to develop out like unique content. Like that's been a way to sell personality types alongside the music. So there's just some really cool creative ways that you guys can use your social media with, like how to create, something cool for your EPK.
Shout out to SoundCloud. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Yeah, you guys can download the episode on SoundCloud.
Yeah,
as
join the
well.
community.
So-
We've been loving it.
Yeah.
And if anybody has a Spotify Connect, we're getting on Spotify soon. We're just going to go ahead and throw that out in the air.
Oh, we got that playlist.
Yeah.
We're coming with a podcast.
Saving our
soon.
spot. It's just keeping
Podcast
it
coming
keeping it
soon.
warm for us.
So the last thing, I know we kind of hovered over, the top things you need to have in an EPK, but last but not least, we'll kind of run through and say why WTF is an EPK. Like, what's the most important thing, either from the receiver's end or the artist's end?
Ooh,
about
I have a
having
quick
an EPK?
question before
Yeah.
we do that. You mentioned earlier, like knowing who you're presenting your EPK to.
Yeah.
Should people make different EPKs for
Ooh,
different
good
objectives?
question. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see
What's
why
your
not.
budget?
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
it may not have to be that though. Like for instance, we have our media kit for Nashville Unsigned. We took out some pages and pitched it to festivals. So we actually do have a festival kit, a festival media kit, and then a sponsor and advertisement media kit. And they do look the same. They have some of the same elements, but one is minus.
Yeah.
So I do think that
Yeah.
if you're balling on a budget, which we already know you are, then you can just repurpose the same content, just kind of condensed in a different way that hits that target audience better than just a big, huge something.
Yeah,
you
go
know?
back to that Do I Need a Manager episode, and that could help you determine how many EPKs you end up with.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was your idea, was just to take it and just to splice it down and have.
And then, it could be / festival EPK and
Yeah.
/
I would imagine the first EPK to really hone in on is like your live, like your festival EPK, or like you're trying to pitch to like a club or a venue to
Yeah.
play.
I think that's
and
where
then you'll think
most
more of like
EPKs
media
go.
from
Sure,
there.
sure.
Yeah.
And now with
media
like
land.
sponsors, they're gonna want to see more numbers. They don't want to see a music video, and like more than likely, a sponsor may not want to see that. They want to see numbers. This is a business
Yeah.
that you're working with.
Yeah,
That kind of
true.
reminds me. So, like the return on investment for an EPK, if we were to think about that, so like
Yeah.
how much would an EPK really, typically cost? Like if we were unable to find a buddy to make ourselves a one-page website to just host, our information, how much would?
Well, you could use the
The
Nashville
Squarespace or something?
Unsigned
That's true.
profile
Community.
as your EPK,
That's what I'm
and that's
saying.
free.
But
So
seriously,
That
though,
is true.
It is.
it's going to cost you the
free.
time it takes to register. And
Well,
that's
an
about it.
independent
It's
artist,
very
more than
true.
likely, again, balling on a budget. So, if we're talking about like the most efficient way to have an EPK, the cheapest way, I think there are tons of apps available that will give you the analytics that you need.
Oh, yeah,
like Google Docs, you can go in and design something.
Yeah.
You know,
You can probably find templates left and right too.
That's what I'm saying.
For any kind of layout that you might just need to send off or something.
So
and then
What are we
Dropbox, man.
saying?
All you have to do is create. You could to start out with. If you're not implementing it into your site yet, you could do like Class 8 Sadara and just put it all in a Dropbox and organize it by folders and then kick the Dropbox link. I think that that's a really, really, really efficient way as well.
yeah.
So-
If I were going to give you my rundown as the web guy, just coming from a web perspective, I'm going to go ahead and say
Spidey
it.
Man.
Spider-Man.
You're gonna wanna
Spider-Man.
have-
Spider-Man does whatever
Well,
Spider-Man does.
If you are not technical at all, like you are absolutely zero technical on the technical scale,
I believe
And-
that's called
and-
a Luddite.
Yeah,
Ah.
and so
Refer
you're-
back to our Nashville Unsigned glossary on YouTube.
So if you're a Luddite and you've got no friends and you're living out in the middle of the woods somewhere,
Wait a minute. Now you're explaining me.
Hippie life.
but I would recommend honestly is you go find a hosting platform because that's honestly what you're looking for. So you want to have a space to put these files and do this stuff online. And that's kind of like a jumping off point is once you get that hosting that's where you're going to store these files for people to be able to access them on the internet. And you can get some packages as low as, like $5 a month. And then your domain, it could be like $12 a month if you go through like GoDaddy or something like that.
Yeah.
So what would that be? About $60 plus $12, so 60, 70. So we're still up under $100 and you can do all this yourself. And most of them have, their own basic
Website.
page building
Yeah.
software.
And a
on
typical
there.
booking is going to bring you in $250 as a beginner.
Exactly.
So, like
So
the return on
clear it.
investment is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, the return on an investment is huge, and I mean it's something that you literally need. You
Right.
need this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think so. I think most of you guys are already sitting with like some type of domain already for your music. If you're not, then that's another conversation. But
Yeah.
I think that the Dropbox thing is cool too, depending on which route that you want to go. But I think having it all together and collected and organized well, that just speaks volumes about all of it, from the way it's organized to the quality of your video to the quality of your photos. Like all of
credibility.
that still has to have quality.
that
You know.
credibility boost from something like that. That's one of the great things about having a website is you can make the credibility is all within
It
your
is.
presentation.
Yeah.
You can have a really bomb looking website and people will think you are legit.
Yeah. Do
Super.
not DIY your
Don't
website. or
DIY
Yeah,
your
that's true.
website.
Yeah, if you go in economical, I understand, I get it, but you want to go
So
back to the
important, though.
networking episode and find yourself a website guy.
Yeah.
True. Like design is so important to have good quality.
Even if it's just a fan or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Honey,
like-
do that guy. Honey,
Yeah.
do that guy.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
you got to have it. It's 2018, guys.
So, guys, that's our episode of WTF is an EPK. I hope this guy's helped you in some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Producer's got a
we
question.
got,
Get
we
on
got
over here.
Casey's
Producer
question
Casey.
corner coming in. Got Casey coming in.
Casey's question corner.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
All right. So when it comes down to so Amber, and I'm pointing to Amber for the people that are watching or listening too, because I'm off camera. So as
He's
someone
doing weird
who's-
things. He's naked, guys. He's
Yeah.
naked under a twin.
Tripod Studios, shout
Yeah.
out. So for Amber, you're curating podcasts, and right now as Nashville Unsigned, we're all creating the EPK.
Yeah.
And Patrick is someone who has like created a lot of EPKs. What numbers matter? What are the numbers that are the most interesting, and where do you get those analytics? I know you mentioned apps.
Yeah.
To get analytics, but I'm curious to know what those apps are and what numbers you really need. What's important.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Followers?
And
Are we
those
talking about engagement?
all
shares?
insights. You need followers, engagement, and reach. You need those 3 things. Those are the most important from social. But if you go to influence.co, you can actually plug in all your handles plus your website, and it'll actually collectively compile in a one sheet of all your social numbers in one place. So you're getting followers, a collection of followers, engagement, and reach across all platforms, including your website. So that's an easy way to pitch that.
Are you saying people
Solid.
don't care about my streams?
My streams.
No, they really don't. They care about your social numbers
Yeah.
because they can remarket to them.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's the
Yeah,
whole
that's
point
true.
is the numbers. It's like
It's
what
a
kind
lot
of reach do
stickier,
you
yeah.
have? Yeah, what can it do for the person that wants to sponsor you?
I mean, I just sat in on a Corona conversation with some of the reps. Yeah, with some of the reps from Corona. We just made.
I love the sound
We're
of
gonna be
this.
talking, Andy. We're gonna be talking. But when I was listening to them, they actually just sponsored Maren Morris. And Maren Morris came to them because she loves Corona. And they're like, whoa, that never happens. Like, we usually have to hunt them down. And
I think that's the same company that owns Modelo.
yeah, it is,
it?
actually.
oh,
Oh,
we
my
got
mind
there.
is blown right.
We
Anyways,
got there.
back to this. They were talking all about social reach. Like it was reach and it was engagement. They actually didn't even have a conversation about followers at all. They just had reach and engagement. So I took that away and I was like, whoa, a big brand like this.
Makes
This
sense.
is what they're looking
Makes
at.
sense.
So if you guys are targeting brands like Corona, kudos, Maren Morris. But if you're targeting brands like Corona, they're going to be looking at things like that.
That makes
Yeah.
a good point because a lot of times you really need to just try, very very honestly to put yourself into the shoes of the advertiser.
Mhm.
What is it truly that's
That they're
going to
looking for.
motivate someone to give you money to do something like this?
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
think that's something that.
I think it was her 4.5 million followers. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, exactly. See, like that makes sense.
That was very
Yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, Modelo. It's
Modelo.
coming in. It's coming in.
Modelo.
So, any final words on WTF as an EPK, gentlemen?
I think you sound it out, EPK. Make it epic.
Ooh.
Oh.
Mhm.
Everybody gets a
Dynamite.
headset off,
That's what-
and
yeah,
this
that's-
one, that's
You hit
throwing
it
it
with
in.
the fire on
I'm
that
throwing
one.
it
Yeah.
in.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm throwing
There it is. So make it efficient, make it to the point, and show your best work.
What about you?
That's mine.
Oh, we.
Hop in there, do it
Website.
economical, get yourself a domain and some web hosting, and then you'll be able to
Until you get like a
move off
legit.
into the stars. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you can do with that.
Until you
Yeah.
get a super legit EPK, you can use Nashville Unsigned's profile as your current EPK.
It's true.
so-
We provide you with all the blank spaces for you to fill it in. So, and,
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
and then
Oh,
people
yeah.
will find it. They'll find it, and then they'll start following you. So that's been
So
the trend
guys,
so far.
download this episode and subscribe already. Follow us on everything. We love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. We out of this beast.
See you guys.